people on my phone, welcome or welcome back. Also welcome to Gran Canaria, welcome to my hotel room. I'm here in Gran Canaria for a week with my family, but I thought it could be fun to vlog. Also like for the memories, but vlog what I'm reading this week. I've got 3 physical books and a book on my Kindle. So I've got The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs, which I'm currently reading, but I'll tell you my thoughts in a second. Then Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. One of my friends loves James Baldwin, and when I told him that I was reading this, he said that I was 100% gonna like it, so I'm hoping that I 100% like it. Then I have She Who Remains by Renee Carabash, and on my Kindle I have The Compound, but I can't remember who that's by. I started reading The Princess Knight on the plane because last time I came to the Canary Islands, I was reading a book on my Kindle that I didn't like all that much, and it really took me a while to get into it, and that kind of set me up for failure for the rest of the week. So this time I'm starting medieval romantasy. I think I read easily 280 pages on the plane. I've read up to page 322 today. I don't think I'll finish this today because it's about 500 pages long, but tomorrow I'm getting this done. I think it's so good with like medieval gothic romantasy because they always make the female main character so powerful. And in this, the romance element at the moment, or at the start, was that he was training her how to wield a sword and like battle, and she's progressively getting better at it, improving herself to the people around her. It is so amazing to read about, and I love it. I think that there is so much tension in, of course, the battlefield, but the intimacy of it, getting that close to your enemies, or in this case your lovers, is amazing. I'm so excited to finish reading this, and once I finish reading it I definitely need to read more by this author. But I'm getting ready to go out now with my family, and I'll just take you along with me, and it's going to be so much fun. We're going to have the time of our lives being by the pool, so I'll see you tomorrow. Hello. I have maybe 20 pages left of Giovanni's Room. I just woke up. I'm gonna sit here, watch the sunrise, read these last 20 pages, and then hopefully I can start another book today. It's currently Thursday. I've got 2 days, and then Saturday I go home. Hello people on my phone. It's now Thursday evening, so it's time for a reading update. Also, is this lighting not perfect? This is what I want my entire life to look like. But regardless, let's go through some thoughts on some books. I finished reading The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. I would give this 3.75 stars. I think this is a really good medieval-esque adjacent fantasy, like romantasy. It had a really good blend of the romance and the more fighting aspects. I can't think of the right word for it, like the combat. It's not necessarily fantasy, like it has fantasy elements, it's got its own world building, it's got these magical elements to it. I do think it would benefit from being a duology. I don't know if that's in the works, but there are some plot lines I think it could be, like they were closed, like they were finished storylines, but they could be developed into something more going into a second book. And honestly, I would just love to see these characters again, like all of the farewells that happen in combat and romance, I think really would lend itself to a duology where I could see all of these characters again. I miss them so dearly. I didn't necessarily get 5-star feeling from this, like I can't explain it, but there wasn't that draw to it, or there wasn't that compellingness that I find in a 5-star. But I did really enjoy this, and if this author comes out with anything else, I will definitely be reading it. I might write a full review of all of these books and post them online, probably on Instagram or TikTok, so you can see proper thoughts, because I feel like I'm still in holiday mode, of course, so my thoughts aren't going to be that critical, which is unfortunate because the next book I finished, I obviously this morning read Giovanni's Room. I would give this easily 4 stars. It has such beautiful prose, and I'm under the belief that this is just how James Baldwin writes, so I definitely want to read more of his work. He writes about race and sexuality in 1950s Paris, and I think that because this one is so heavily focused on sexuality and sensuality, it'd be good to read more of his writing about race on top of that. But it has this very ferocious and tumultuous presentation of love and the intimacy of hate and love with other people and also with yourself, and the way that David, who's the protagonist and the narrator of this, hates himself was such a compelling perspective to read from. I annotated it slightly, and there were some beautiful quotes in this that I will be thinking about for such a while going forward. Definitely one that I can see myself rereading, or at least will be reading more by this author. One of my friends that I said loves James Baldwin. I will be getting more recommendations from him in terms of this author. And that brings me on to the book I started reading today, which is She Who Remains by Renee Carabash. I'm currently on page 100, so we'll see if I read more of this tonight. I'm not convinced that I will, but if not, then I will finish it tomorrow morning. This is about a little town where our protagonist renounces her womanhood, becomes this sworn virgin of a man in order to escape an arranged marriage. So it's looking at the complexity of domestics, because this, like, the way that she's avoiding this arranged marriage obviously has tragic effects on her family, but also the idea of femininity and what that means and how that can be expressed. And it's really interesting because our narrator is talking about the femininity in the past as something that they have murdered, and then they're also telling other people that they're not a murderer and they are pure, because purity in this book is something that is so multifaceted, because being a virgin is perceived as this ultimate purity. There is so much violence that is just expected in the social norms and the traditions of this culture. Like, there are blood deals, and to have that compared with femininity and menstruation and pomegranates is such an integral theme in this book. The differences of violence and purity are just bouncing off of each other, and there is no clear line between any of these different facets of how life is expressed. It's also written so beautifully. There was an entire page that I absolutely adored, and it's on page 93, and I'm going to read you 2 passages, so the start and the end of this page. It says, "Dana was my mirror, my medicine, my salvation. God had given us both tiny birthmarks right where our clavicles met, above the heart, so we could recognize each other more easily, and just as easily lose ourselves in one another, or lose each other irrevocably." And then the second passage, "Love, who here speaks of love, love around these parts is death. Were you to choose love, you'd be choosing death, or death would choose you, but you're always the last to find out, before the pomegranates ripen and crack." I'm excited to see what the final 50 or so pages have in store for me. I'm not feeling like it's a 5-star, but it's definitely up there. So far, this has been like an amazing list of books to read. There is such variety, and the next book being on my Kindle I think is going to be a good change of pace for me. The Compound, which is the book on my Kindle, it's 350-ish pages long, so I definitely won't finish it tomorrow, but I will hopefully finish it on Saturday or on Sunday, worst case, when I get home. But for now, this is my reading update. I'm getting ready to go out for the evening. I'm not sure when I'll see you, but I will undoubtedly have a reading update and some clips of me reading, because that is essentially all I'm doing on holiday. Although I have been swimming and I've kind of got tan lines because I've been tanning, but I don't want to tan too much because I don't want it to beat the vampire allegations. So I'm still pale. It's quite the difference But regardless, I will see you later. Hello people in my phone, it's Saturday, I go home in a few hours, so I'm going to quickly give you some reading updates, then I think I'm going to go get something to eat and buy some postcards for my friends and family, and then maybe sit and do some reading for a bit until my family is all ready. I finished reading She Who Remains yesterday. I'm really conflicted with my rating for this because I think it was such an insightful read on gender expectations and it's so beautifully written, but the plot, it confused me so much. It wasn't until maybe the final 20 pages that the different names of the main character actually clicked in my head without me having to reread the blurb. I definitely want to craft a full review of this book to be posted because I think it's one that deserves a review. It was such an interesting read and I would definitely recommend it, but I'm really conflicted on how to express my opinions because as well it's so short, it's like 150 pages, but it did round up quite well. It had a good ending. It had a very succinct ending as well, which I liked for this book in particular. I'm reading The Compound at the moment. I'm just over 200 pages in right now. I don't think I'll get it done today. I kind of want to sleep on the plane because I'm so exhausted. I've not been taking my iron tablets the entire time that I'm here. Also in the airport, I bought this edition of The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is stunning. And I think that from now on, I'm going to collect this edition of books whenever it's like a 5-star classic for me because The Picture of Dorian Gray is one of my favourite books of all time. I think that these little ones are so cute. I considered getting Wuthering Heights as well, but I just love Oscar Wilde too much, so I chose this one. Also The Picture of Dorian Gray and going on holiday, every time I go to a different country, I'm trying to buy the translated version of Dorian Gray. I say I'm trying to do this, but so far I've only got one. I got it in Italy in the airport on the way home. I don't think I can find one here, and also because it's Gran Canaria, it's a part of the Canary Islands. If I wanted to get a Spanish edition, which is like I think the main language that everyone speaks here, I'd probably get it if I go to Spain at some point again because I haven't been there since I was a kid. But yeah, I'm gonna go now and finish packing some of my bits and then have a little wander. Thank you so much for watching this video and spending my holiday with me. I hope that you enjoyed this style of vlog. I feel like it's a bit different because I'm not as chatty, and when I am chatty then I'm really chatty. But it's been so nice to have a week to do nothing but read and swim. Basically, I'm a bit burnt, but that's okay. I will see you in my next vlog. Bye!